What's up guys, it's Awilda here, hip and creative. In today's video I share with you a DIY floating shelf tutorial. I will be joined by my husband Harvey, who will be explaining the process. So here's Harvey to explain the process of how we created the shelf.
Hi, this is Harvey. One of our first things we got to do for our floating shelves is to get our tops and bottom piece cut. So you'll see me here measuring out the straight measurements and using straight cuts on the Mitre Saw. So that way we have our top support and our bottom for our shelves. Both of these cuts will be square and even. Our next cut is going to be for our sides. Always want to take your saw and cut the end part of your board to make sure you have a precise cut. This is supposed to be a 45, so I cut just a little bit off of the end, not too much, not to take up too much material, and have as best a 45-degree cut as you can get, something that's nice and even. So now the next thing we're going to do is, because this is the sideboard, is to measure our length. And we measure our length from the inside cut, not the outside cut. The overall dimensions have to wrap around from the two boards we previously cut for the top and the bottom. So we measure it in, mark it with our pencil, and then even though the miter is going to cut a square line, we're going to mark a square line with our rafting square. Mark it very well, and then once you got it all even, proceed to cut it carefully with your saw. And we're going to do this twice. This first cut, and we have to do another one for the other side, the exact same way we did this. Our next cut is going to be for our front board of our shelf, the one that everyone's going to see. So once again, this one has to be at a 45 because we're 45ing our short sides, so we have to 45 our front to match. So cut it nice and square, nice and smooth. Our measurement again is going to be the length of our full board. So mark it with our rafter and cut it with our miter. Now that our boards are cut, we want to try and dry fit everything together. Do this first before you move on to any other gluing and nailing, just to make sure that your piece is cut. Any trimming or adjustments you have to make are done before you're in the middle of assembling everything together. To attach our tops and bottoms to our sides and our fronts, we're going to use our Kreg Jig to drill some pocket holes and use pocket hole screws to hold this all together. A little bit of glue we'll also put in there just to hold it tight, but the idea is to hold this as one unit, not pieces, and join them together. So use the drill bit that came with it. Set your dimensions to your board, so your depth from this will be 3/4 inches, and then go down and spread them apart evenly enough so that way you have enough grip. You want to shake out the extra little particles in there, and once again dry fit to make sure that everything still looks good. Assembling the boards with the pocket screws can be a little tricky because it feels like you need so many other hands to hold one piece and another piece and the screw. So Kreg just sells a clamp that will fit right inside of one of your pocket screw holes to hold your material up against there. Again, this is a step you do not want to rush. You want to take your pocket hole screws and carefully put them in there, and don't rush it. The screw is going to try and push your material away from the material that you're screwing into, but your extra hand, your handy helper here, is going to try to hold that material together as tight as possible. You don't want to squeeze it too tight and rip through your board. Screw in your screws with your screw gun carefully. You don't want to drive through the material. You want to drive up the material and join them together. Put a little glue on there as well, and it'll hold it for a long time. If you notice also, we try to evenly space out the pocket hole screws to hold the material as best as possible. So on this piece of board we have 3 to the front. On a bottom piece we'll only have 1, but we still have 2 on each side. The idea is to make all these pieces come together and become one piece and hold on to each other with all the screws. And use your handy helper as best you can. I put it in the middle to hold the material in place. The other sides are in there, and you're watching. You'll see that the sides, make sure we even them up, make sure everything is nice and square, nice and straight, and then screw it in. Again, don't rush. Take your time. At the end of putting all our pocket hole screws together, we have to create our support board that goes up against the wall. So here we are ripping a 2x4. It's short. We don't need all that material to go down, and we're going to make sure that there's enough bite on the wall, enough thickness to hold our board securely to the wall. To enhance our support, we also have kind of like feet that come out from our support wall. So there'll be 3 short pieces of board that will protrude out from our support board up against the wall. We'll screw them in to our support board after making sure they're as close to the same as possible. You don't want them to be too far off, but you do want them to be close enough. We have our support cut, and we have our small little pieces that are going to protrude out cut as well. So we're going to join these all together. Each one of these are going to be held in a screw to themselves. I marked them evenly spaced. We obviously want one on each end and one as close to the center as possible. So we'll pre-drill our screws first. If you need to drill it prior to that, you can, but here I am just screwing them through and then peeling them out just a little bit. Then once we get them in there, we're going to secure them to our small little pieces, because we're trying to make like a ladder in a sense, where it's going to help support the weight that goes from the wall to the other pieces. So we're going to screw them in and make sure that they're in nice and tight, nice and square. We have our main pieces for our support for the wall put together. Now let's make it act as one piece. There's a 1x3 that's up in front that was also ripped down a little smaller. That's going to hold the little protruding pieces tight and square again to our other piece. And then, as usual, let's dry fit and make sure it all goes together. Our support wants to be secured to the wall up against a stud, so use your stud finder to find something that you can go into, a stud on that wall. Mark your line even. We know our one piece dimension, so we're going to mark it just short of being the full dimension. So we have a straight line, we have our studs, we have our height from the floor, and then we need to mark it on our material, because you just don't want to just screw right through it. So we'll mark it, pre-drill some holes on our material, make sure they're nice and even and they can hold on tight. And we have that marked on there as well. We go through and we pre-drill some holes once again to make sure that we have a nice solid grip on the wall. Put one side at a time, put it in the wall, secure it nice and tight. Use our level before you put in the last screw in, what we're doing here. We want something to be straight, even, and secure. We're getting close to the end, but we need to put our holding board, our finishing board, to our frame back on there. So put the middle piece in, it'll hold it in tight, and then put the sides in. Don't try to rip through the board. You want this to be secure and tight, not rip through it and make it split or anything bad to it. Put them in nice and tight. Our support on the wall is nice, sturdy, straight, and even. So we wound up pre-drilling 2 holes in our box that was created, our actual floating shelf, and put 2 short screws in it to hold it onto the wall. And we know everything dry fits and fits well, so we slide it right over to the top and screw our screws into our support. They're countersunk, so when you look at them straight and you look them screw them down, you will not see them without actually looking for them. And here is our finished product. It is stained with a walnut stain. We let it dry for several hours to put it up on there, and don't want to touch it, don't want to have any smudges in there. And as you can see, everything else is hidden. Their screws are hidden, their pocket hole screws are hidden, and it looks very nice.
Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe so you'll be notified of future videos that I'll be posting. Until next time guys, God bless, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.